Hello everyone. I have some exciting things here that I just wanted to, I guess, briefly just kind of share with you, and of course my thoughts on these things. I have the latest recordings from Christ Cathedral, the first recordings of the restored Hazel Wright organ, which is very, very exciting at long last for all of you organ nuts like myself and fans of Hazel in particular. These are great times indeed. And as you can see, there are two CDs here, one from David Ball, cathedral organist, and of course, associate organist Emma Whitten at Christ Cathedral. And I can't tell you how excited I am that these things exist. And I'm just going to really quick tell you about them, and yeah, and a little book that's also here as well. But real quick, these were, I think, officially released to the world today. I actually got this back at the end of September 30th to be exact, for the dedication, or at the dedication concert featuring Maestro Hector Oliveira. And these were for sale outside of the concert, before, I think, during and afterwards. And I couldn't wait because I'm an organ nut, and these sort of things, you generally want to get your paws on as soon as you can. Especially nowadays in a world where everything is all digital and streaming and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I just had to get them no matter what. No matter how life is or was, I just had to get it. So, which brings me to us now. And I have the book, both CDs here. And yeah, so first thing you want to note is that both CDs are in what is commonly referred to as a digipack, for those of you CD and audio files out there. Gorgeous artwork, great pictures, great font, everything looks great. Of course, by the famous Gothic Records, who has been producing, or who has produced, recordings from the Crystal Cathedral, the former Crystal Cathedral, for decades, really, under the tenure of Fred Swan. And yeah, and so opening them up, you'll notice that have some more gorgeous imagery of Hazel there, and some audio recording credits there on the side there. Both feature the same sort of, I guess you can call it, a template. That is, they're laid out, the packaging is laid out the same. Of course, for David's CD, you have his bio and image there. And for Emma's, you have hers and her bio as well. And the CDs are on the artist bio side, that can easily be removed with very little effort. And you'll note, though, that there are no liner notes, at least liner notes that come with the CDs themselves. However, you can download the liner notes because they were featured, or the liner notes are featured on Gothic Records website. All you have to do is click on the cover of the album on the website, and it will automatically open up another tab or page, which will feature the PDF file that you could download, print, save, whichever means or method you want to go by. Personally, I printed them both out in a sort of oversized large format because, well, I like to read things like this, and that was just my personal preference. But that's how I did it. And just to quickly go through it with you, it has the track list, which is also on the back. The CDs has, and both liner notes, though, feature a lengthy article about the history of the Hazel Wright organ, as told by Frederick Swan and Ruffati. So that kind of goes on for a while. Some cool pictures and backstory here. Picture of the gallery organ, and so on and so forth, the console, and all of that. Great image of the Shamads there. And then, of course, you have your notes on the music, etc. And the stop list as it appears today. And, of course, there's our dear friend Kevin tuning the Shamads, or posing with the Shamads. And David Ball, and Emma Whitten, and Manuel there. And yeah, so all of this can be downloaded on the Gothic Records website. And this is for David Ball's CD, and for Emma's, the format pretty much is, well, exactly the same for the most part. So that's kind of cool. So definitely check that out. And what did I think of these CDs? I think they were fantastic. Why? Number one, I was already hyped up about them. And two, this has been, well, long awaited for fans of Hazel. And I think the best part about it, aside from the fact that the audio quality is very good, is that most of the literature featured on these two recordings have never been recorded on Hazel before, at least professionally. There were a few, perhaps, repeats, as I like to call them. Most notably, the Fred Swan trumpet tune and the heraldings by Bobby Hebel. And I believe the Vidor Toccata was recorded before by our friend Mark Thallander. So, yeah, that's been out there before on Hazel, but pretty much everything else has not been. I can understand why they did it that way, because it's kind of like, oh, this is how it was before, this is how it is now, and you can kind of compare the two. So it's kind of nice to have updated versions of those performances. And if you are a fan of the original recordings of those pieces, you may notice some slight differences, but it's all a matter of interpretation. And there are definitely some beautiful and wonderful things about the new ones, which I love. But other than that, all of the other works are newly recorded on Hazel, and I can't be more excited about it. These recordings were done very fast over a span of a few days, probably like a good maybe month or so before the dedication concert. So it's like amazing these things got out when they did. It's the first time I've certainly ever heard of a pipe organ recording being released so fast like that. And I hope that's a sign of good things to come in the future for more of these kinds of things, especially from Christ Cathedral. Yeah, so it's great. I'm happy that they're out there, and I think fans like you all will really enjoy it. On Emma's CD, I particularly enjoyed her performance of the litanies, the Dupre, of course, the trumpet tune. I love the variations on the Easter theme. I love the John Weaver piece. I loved her performance of the Passacaglia and Fugue by Bach, which pretty much traces all the way its history back to Virgil Fox's recording on the Aeolian Skinner organ of Lincoln Center, which, as you all know, has been incorporated or was incorporated into what is now Hazel. So yeah, there's lots of great stuff on here, and I have to tell you all, if you're wondering how loud all this stuff is, the majority of both albums are very loud, which to me is a delight. So David, Emma, keep them coming. And there are a lot of soft pieces as well. And the clarity is very well heard, so you won't have any issues there. They definitely will test your sound system or AirPods or whatever means in which you are listening. I know I blast them through my ears using Apple AirPods or regular big oversized, I guess you could say, gaming headphones, and they really kind of put a test to the things. So I would definitely recommend doing that. There were a couple of little glitches that I noticed, particularly on the Gigoo on David Ball's album. There were a couple of glitches there, and I think there was a glitch in one of the other pieces as well. I think it was more like an editing thing, though I'm not entirely sure. One thing I did notice that on track 1 and track 2, which is the fanfare introduction in D major, and the Sinfonia from Cantata 29 by Bach, it seems on the CD that it's like a seamless track, meaning that track 1 just automatically bleeds into track 2. So if you're somebody that just wants to listen to one of them separately, you're going to kind of have to, I don't know, figure out how to basically live with the fact that on the CD, it's the beginning of the Sinfonia is part of track 1, and then track 2 kind of starts almost in the middle of it. So that's one thing that was a bit of a blooper for me personally, but in case you're wondering, there is a way around it. If you go on Gothic's website and download tracks 1 and 2 separately from their website, it just features the entire pieces by themselves with no bleeding into the next track. So that's how I got around it, and I just simply replaced them in my iTunes, and that was the end of that. But other than that, these recordings were very well done. In the future, personally, I would love to see something where they have, you know, specific pieces performed on the gallery organ, or specific pieces performed on specific divisions. And I would love for the liner notes, of course, to note which stops were used, if such a thing is possible, particularly for certain things. But I would love to know which, you know, whether it's the gallery organ, the this or that, or what have you. Obviously, a lot of the main stuff like the chamades and the herald trumpet and things like that, we all know what's what. But sometimes it would be nice to kind of read that and know that, to kind of look for it. One thing that I will note about the cover of Emma's CD is the famous mounted cornet that is pretty much obstructed from view by the, you know, at least as far as the congregation is concerned, is on the cover of the CD. So yes, it's still here, it's still alive. And so yeah, guys, I would definitely recommend these CDs. And I believe they're also available via Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and so on, so on, and so on, and so on. So yeah, so that's that, guys. So definitely check them out. And I will drop a link in the description so that you can go right there and get them yourselves, because I believe they are first or now available as of today. So yeah, now I'm going to just quickly kind of move on to the book and show you what's inside of that. This was also available at the concert, but also available on Gothic's website. You can find that there. And this gorgeous book by Dr. David Crean gives the first well packaged history of Hazel, and it has a foreword by Dr. Frederick Swan. Gorgeous artwork there. I mean, what's really beautiful about this is that this is the first time we have this kind of stuff for Hazel. So it really shows the commitment to by Christ Cathedral to really celebrate this instrument. So I'm really happy about that. And this book goes into fine detail. I've had this book, like I said, since the end of September, and I've read it in pieces and I'm still not finished with it. And that's because there's so much good stuff in here that I didn't want to just read it all in one sitting. So it really goes back to the very beginning, back to Hazel's roots, even the Crystal Cathedral's roots. So it gives a detailed history, lots of wonderful pictures from his past. And for those of you who were around during those times, it really dives into, well, everything that could possibly be dived into about this organ. So I would definitely check that out as well. And there's a beautiful picture on the back by my friend Matthew Morrison. So great job there. And this is also definitely something worth picking up. And one thing I did notice too, aside from all the many pictures in here, is that just skimming through it, I noticed that it reproduces pretty much every concert program that was ever performed on Hazel since its beginning, which is fantastic because it's like a fascinating time capsule of all of the wonderful and famous organists that have performed on the instrument in the past. It's like literally a doorway to another time. And so that's cool. But yeah, I'm still maybe about 50 pages in. I read all of this stuff just the other day, and I believe I stopped right at chapter 4. So that's where I find myself in the book, and I would definitely once again recommend it. And again, I will put a link in the description for you all to find it. And yeah, guys, David, Emma, keep them coming. Kevin, great job keeping the organ in line. And thank you all for finally giving us what we've been, well, begging for a decade at least. And now I can finally play this over and over and over until the next one. All right, guys, take care. Talk to you guys later. Be safe. And yeah, bye-bye.